The desert doesn't lie. That's what Cole Reeves always said. 20 years riding through Utah, New Mexico, and the Badlands of Arizona had taught him the land always tells the truth. He was done. Retired. A ghost haunting a small ranch outside of Dustfall. A dying town nobody visited. Cole had traded his reputation for silence. His legend for a rocking chair. His revolver stayed in a drawer he hadn't opened in 3 years. Until that morning. He found her at dawn, slumped over a dark horse at the edge of his property, blood soaking through her buckskin dress, her long black braids falling across the animal's neck like dark rivers. Apache, young, maybe 20, barely breathing. Her eyes opened slow, found his face. And through cracked, dry lips, she whispered 3 words that cracked something open inside his chest. "Help me. Please." Cole stood frozen. Every instinct told him to walk away. He wasn't a lawman anymore, wasn't a hero, wasn't anyone's savior. But then she grabbed his wrist and pressed something cold into his palm. A U.S. Marshal's badge. His badge. Stolen the night his partner was murdered. Cole looked at the badge, looked at the girl. And then he noticed something terrifying behind her eyes. She wasn't just wounded, she was hunted. Cole Reeves hadn't always been a quiet man. There was a time when his name alone was enough to make outlaws reconsider their life choices. Barrooms went silent when he walked in. Sheriffs asked for his help. Newspapers printed his face on the front page. That was another life. Now he woke before sunrise, fed 2 horses, fixed fences, and talked to nobody. That was the deal he'd made with himself after the night everything fell apart. The night Deputy Marshal James Whitfield bled out in his arms on a cold New Mexico street, killed by a bullet nobody could trace, ordered by a name nobody dared speak. Cole had tried to find justice. He'd pulled every thread, knocked on every door, and one by one, every door slammed shut in his face. Witnesses disappeared, evidence vanished, and then his badge, the one he'd worn for 18 years, was stolen from his coat while he slept in a Tucson hotel room. That's when he understood. This wasn't a crime. This was a message. Stop looking, or you're next. So he stopped. He rode north, found the small ranch outside Dustfall, and buried Cole Reeves, the marshal, as deep as he could. Until her. He'd carried Ayanna inside, laid her on the wooden table. Her breathing was shallow but steady. The wound on her side was clean, a graze, not a puncture. She'd survive. But it was the badge that wouldn't let him think straight. He turned it over in his fingers again and again, standing by the window, watching the dawn crawl across the desert floor. His name was engraved on the back. How did she have it? And why did she ride, bleeding, alone, half dead, straight to him? She woke 3 hours later with a knife in her hand. Cole hadn't moved from the chair across the room. He'd expected that. Anyone hunted learns to wake up fighting. He raised both hands, slowly, palms out, and kept his voice low and flat. Knife won't help you much if you tear that wound open. She didn't lower it. Her dark eyes swept the room, door, window, his holster hanging on the wall, the badge sitting on the table between them. Then finally she looked at him, really looked. "You're Cole Reeves," she said. Not a question. "Used to be." She lowered the knife an inch. "My father told me about you. Said you were the only honest lawman he ever met." "Your father was being generous." "My father doesn't lie." She sat up slowly, jaw tight against the pain. "My name is Ayanna, daughter of Chief Runs with Thunder of the White Mountain Apache." Cole nodded once. He knew the name. Respected chief, peaceful man, had spent years building real trust between his people and the territory settlers. "Where is he now?" Cole asked. Her expression shifted, just for a second. Something cracked behind those steady eyes. Grief, maybe. Or rage held so tight it looked like grief. "Taken," she said. 11 days ago, men came at night, soldiers without uniforms, carrying government rifles. They killed 4 of our warriors, burned 2 homes, and took my father in chains." Cole said nothing. "They left a message," Ayanna continued. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Said Chief Runs with Thunder would stand trial for the Clearwater Massacre. 23 settlers killed last spring." Cole's eyes narrowed. "I remember that massacre." "Then you remember my father was 300 miles away when it happened." Silence settled between them like dust after a gunshot. Cole looked at the badge again. Someone was framing an innocent man, and they'd gone to great trouble to make sure Cole Reeves found out about it. Cole poured 2 cups of black coffee and set one in front of Ayanna without asking. She took it without thanking him. He respected that. Pleasantries were for people who had time. "How did you get my badge?" he asked. She wrapped both hands around the cup. "One of the men who took my father dropped it. I don't think he meant to. It fell from his coat during the fight." She paused. "I recognized the name engraved on it. My father had mentioned you, so I rode. For 11 days, wounded. My father waited longer in chains." Cole had nothing to say to that. He stood, walked to the window, watched the heat already beginning to shimmer off the desert floor. His mind was working, turning over facts the way his hands turned over that badge. Government rifles, no uniforms. A frame-up, targeting a peaceful chief. "Who ordered it?" he asked. "You have a name?" Ayanna was quiet for a moment. Then, "Harlan Dusk." The coffee cup stopped halfway to Cole's mouth. He set it down, very carefully, very slowly. "Say that again." "Harlan Dusk, territorial senator. They say he's positioning himself for Washington, for real power." Cole's jaw tightened until he could feel it in his temples. Harlan Dusk. The name that lived like a splinter under his skin. Deep enough to ignore most days, painful enough to wake him some nights. Harlan Dusk had been the last name on Deputy Whitfield's lips before he died. Cole had never been able to prove it, never been able to touch him. The man was made of money and protection and political armor so thick that justice couldn't find a seam. But now he had something he didn't have 3 years ago. A witness, a reason, and a badge that just found its way home. They left before noon. Cole hadn't packed light in years, but old instincts return fast when the situation demands it. Ammunition, dried meat, 2 canteens, medical cloth for Ayanna's wound, and the revolver, the one in the drawer he hadn't opened in 3 years, loaded, holstered, and sitting on his hip like it had never left. Ayanna watched him strap it on without comment, but he caught the small shift in her expression. Relief, maybe, or the recognition that the man her father described was still in there somewhere, buried, but not gone. They rode south. The plan involved reaching a former contact in the town of Red Rock, a half-Apache tracker named Jonas Gray, who knew the Arizona cliff country better than anyone alive. If Harlan Dusk had a private fortress out there, Jonas would know where. The desert was brutal and beautiful and indifferent, as always. By midday, the sun was an enemy. They rode without much conversation, Cole scanning the ridgelines out of habit, Ayanna riding with a straight back and steady hands, despite the wound that had to be burning in the heat. Around the 3rd hour, she broke the silence. "Why did you stop being a marshal?" Cole kept his eyes on the trail. "I failed someone." Whitfield. He glanced at her. Your father told you a lot. My father paid attention. She paused. Whitfield wasn't your fault. Harlan Dusk pulled that trigger, even if another man's finger was on the gun. Cole said nothing, but something shifted in his chest, small, like a stone being moved after years in the same place. You didn't fail him, Ayanna said quietly. You just haven't finished the job yet. The trail stretched ahead, long and red and unforgiving. Cole rode a little straighter. Redstone Canyon was the kind of place that looked beautiful and killed you for admiring it. Narrow walls the color of dried blood rose 60 feet on either side. The trail twisted, sound bounced and lied. Cole had ridden through it once before, years ago, and hadn't liked it then either. We could go around, Ayanna said, reading his hesitation. Adds 4 hours. Jonas won't wait past sundown. Then we go through fast. They pushed the horses to a trot. Cole's hand rested near his holster, not on it, just near it. The kind of readiness that lives in the body after enough years. The canyon air was cooler, shadowed, and absolutely silent. Too silent. No birds, no lizards skittering across the rocks, nothing. Cole pulled his horse to a stop. Ayanna did the same without being told. She felt it too. Then the first shot cracked off the canyon wall like a thunderbolt. Cole shoved Ayanna sideways off her horse, not gentle, no time for gentle, and hit the ground, rolling, coming up behind a boulder with the revolver already drawn. He counted muzzle flashes, left ridge, 2 shooters, right ridge, 1, 3 total, probably more waiting. Stay down, he shouted. I am down, she snapped back, which meant she was fine. Cole moved fast, low and tight against the canyon wall, drawing fire away from her position. He returned 2 shots. One attacker went silent. The second on the left ridge shifted position, rookie mistake, and Cole put him down before he settled. The third tried to run. Cole let him. Running men talk, dead men don't. He holstered the revolver and walked back to Ayanna. She was on her feet, blood showing through her bandage, but eyes steady as stone. You good? He asked. Ask me again when my heart stops racing, she said. And for the first time, just barely, Cole almost smiled. Hey, I have to stop here for just a second, because I need to be honest with you. When I first built this story, I didn't expect to get this attached to these two. Cole carrying 3 years of guilt, never forgiving himself. Ayanna riding 11 days through the desert, wounded and alone, refusing to give up on her father. There's something about 2 people like that finding each other, right in the middle of all this chaos, that just hits differently. Are you feeling this story? Are you Team Cole? Team Ayanna? Drop a comment. I read every single one. Let's keep going. Jonas Gray was exactly where Cole expected him to be, sitting outside a crumbling adobe building in Red Rock, drinking something that wasn't coffee, looking like a man who had decided the world could handle itself without his input. He was 50, lean as wire, with Apache blood on his mother's side, and a tracker's eyes that never fully stopped working, even when the rest of him was at rest. He saw them coming from 100 yards, and didn't move, which for Jonas meant he was pleased to see them. When Cole dismounted, Jonas looked at Ayanna, then back at Cole. You found trouble, Jonas said. Trouble found me, Cole replied. Always does with you. Jonas stood, nodded respectfully to Ayanna. White Mountain? He asked her. Yes. You know my father? Runs with thunder. Good man. Heard he was taken. Jonas's jaw tightened. Heard wrong things about why. That night they camped outside Red Rock. Jonas built a fire. Ayanna sat close to it, rebandaging her own wound with calm, practiced hands. Cole watched her without meaning to. the firelight catching the angles of her face, the quiet, fierce concentration she brought to everything. She caught him looking. He looked away. "Cole," she said softly. "Yeah, thank you for not walking away at your fence." He stared into the fire for a long moment. "I almost did," he admitted. "But you didn't," she said. "That's the part that matters." The fire crackled. The desert breathed around them. And something that had been locked in Cole Reeves for 3 years shifted quietly, like a door, opened just a crack, letting in the smallest sliver of light. They reached Mercy Falls by mid-morning of the second day. It had been a mining town once, optimistic, loud, full of men who thought they'd found something permanent in the rock. Then the silver ran out, the company pulled its money, and the people dissolved like salt in rain. What remained were hollow buildings, a saloon with no roof, and streets that the wind swept clean every day, as if erasing the memory of the people who'd once walked them. Cole had a reason for stopping here. Hidden in the floorboards of the old sheriff's office, which he'd used as a safe house during a pursuit years ago, he'd left a lockbox. Inside, documents, old ones, evidence he'd collected in the weeks after Whitfield's murder, before the doors started slamming. He'd never been able to use it, but maybe now, with the right witness, it would mean something. While he pried up the floorboards, Ayanna explored the empty saloon. He found her standing at the broken bar, running her fingers along the dust-covered wood, looking at the cracked mirror behind it. "Strange," she said when he entered. "All these empty buildings. Men built them with so much hope. Then just left." "People leave when there's nothing left worth staying for," Cole said. She looked at him in the mirror. "Is that why you left, too? Dustfall, the marshals, everything?" "Something like that." "And now?" she asked quietly. Cole held up the lockbox. "Now I think maybe I left some things unfinished." Ayanna turned from the mirror to face him directly. The broken light from the collapsed roof fell across her face in long golden strips. "Some things are worth finishing," she said. Neither of them was talking about the lockbox anymore, and they both knew it. The compound was worse than Jonas had described. Cole and Ayanna lay flat on a sandstone ridge above the painted cliffs, looking down at Harlan Dusk's private fortress. It wasn't a camp, it was a statement. Thick timber walls, 3 watchtowers, a main house built into the cliff face itself, stone and wood and iron, permanent and brutal. Armed men moved in patterns below, professional, disciplined. These weren't drunk cowboys looking for pay. These were soldiers, ex-military most likely, the kind that governments hire when they want violence done cleanly and quietly. 42, Ayanna said, counting under her breath. "I got 43. The one by the south gate keeps walking the same circuit. He's bored, sloppy." Cole glanced at her. "You've done this before." "My father trained all his children the same. Sons and daughters both." "If this goes wrong," she said, "and only one of us gets out, you take the documents. You finish this. Promise me." Cole held her gaze. "It won't go wrong." "Promise me anyway." He was quiet for a moment. The wind moved through the canyon below. Somewhere, a hawk circled without sound. "I promise," he said. She nodded once, then turned back to watch the compound. But she didn't move away, and Cole didn't either. Their shoulders were touching on the narrow ridge, neither of them acknowledging it, neither of them moving. Below, Harlan Dusk's army moved in its careful, deadly patterns, completely unaware that 2 people on a ridge above them had just made a promise that was about more than documents. It was about survival, about justice, and about something neither of them had allowed themselves to name yet. The supply wagon came at dawn, right on schedule. Cole moved first, slipping through the south gate in the 42nd window, while the guards were occupied with the wagon, Jonas creating a distraction with a well-placed shot from the ridge that sounded like it came from the opposite direction. Ayanna followed 3 seconds behind, silent as smoke. They found Chief Runs with Thunder in a stone room below the main house, chained, thin, bruised, but alive. Alive and still carrying the quiet dignity that his daughter had clearly inherited. When Ayanna knelt in front of him, he touched her face with chained hands and said something softly in Apache. She pressed her forehead to his. Cole gave them 4 seconds. Then he broke the chains. Getting out was harder. An alarm, a guard who came back early, a door that should have been empty, gunfire in a narrow corridor. Cole took a graze across his left arm, fired back twice, kept moving. Ayanna pulled her father forward with a strength that seemed impossible for her size. Jonas had the horses ready at the back wall, exactly where they'd planned. They rode hard and fast, and didn't stop for 2 hours. When they finally stopped at a dry creek bed to breathe, Ayanna pressed her hand to Cole's bleeding arm, without asking permission. Her fingers worked quickly, wrapping the wound with cloth torn from her sleeve. Cole watched her hands. She watched his face. "You're going to need stitches," she said. "Later," he said. "Cole." "I'm fine." "I know you are," she said softly. "That's not why I'm still holding your arm." Cole looked down at her hand and didn't pull away. 3 days later, Chief Runs with Thunder rode west with his people. Jonas had delivered Cole's documents, along with Ayanna's testimony and the dropped badge, to a federal contact in Tucson. Arrest warrants were being drawn. Harlan Dusk's political armor was cracking for the first time. It wasn't over, but it had begun. The morning the Apache rode west, Cole stood at the edge of the camp and watched them go. Ayanna stood beside him, close enough that their shoulders nearly touched. Neither of them spoke for a long time, the silence of 2 people who don't need to fill the air to feel connected. Her father had stopped his horse before riding out, looked at Cole with dark, ancient eyes, said nothing, then nodded, once, deep, the way a man nods when words would only make something smaller. Cole nodded back. When the last rider disappeared into the morning dust, Ayanna turned to him. Her expression was open in a way he'd only seen in pieces, never all at once. She was letting him see it, choosing to. "What do you do now?" she asked. "See it through," Cole said. "Dusk is still out there." "And after?" He looked at her, then at the horizon, wide and gold and endless. "Haven't thought that far ahead in a while," he admitted. She was quiet. Then, "Maybe it's time to start." She mounted her horse, paused, looked back at him over her shoulder with those dark eyes. "There's a valley my father knows, west of the White Mountains, beautiful, peaceful, safe." Cole said nothing. She rode. He watched until she was small against the horizon. Then, hooves, fast, from the south, hard. Cole's hand moved to his revolver. Harlan Dusk wasn't finished, and neither were they. The horizon is wide open, and this story is far from over. Harlan Dusk is still riding free. Cole is standing between the past and something he hasn't let himself want in years. And Ayanna just rode away, but not too far. Part 2 is coming, deeper, harder, and with a secret about Ayanna's past that changes everything Cole thinks he knows. But I only make Part 2 if you want it. If this story got under your skin, drop a comment right now. I want Part 2. Every comment brings Cole and Ayanna back. Don't let this story end in the dust.